Hello, hello, and welcome to the Weeder Life podcast. I'm your host, Erica Weederlight, and I am the CEO and founder of We the Light. I help humans who feel inadequate, broken, self-conscious, and shamed around their sexuality to reclaim their aliveness, their power, and to have a renewed relationship to pleasure while preparing themselves to feel hella confident to date others and themselves. AKA, I'm guiding people to live their #best lives. I have to give you a fair warning. I do unfortunately swear like a drunken sailor, so if you do have little ones by you, just be sure to pop in some earbuds. All right, friends, let's buckle up and let's rock it to this week's episode. Oh my gosh, I'm literally freaking out. Like, I'm truly like this is the energy. And I'm laughing because 5 seconds before this call, I was like, I am the tiredest girl in America. And now I'm the most jazzed girl in America. Just like, like sparkly energy. This human brings this to me. Like, just being in the presence. I'm like a giddy schoolgirl. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to talk about the things. I am literally jazzed, excited, flying in the universe right now about this conversation. So I don't want to get too crazy in her bio because we just need to hear from this amazing human. But without fucking further ado, Perle motherfucking Noire. Hello, I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out. I'm gonna give you a baby bio because I already know so much about you because you're fucking Perle. Perle is a goddamn burlesque icon, and I want to talk about that in a second. Like, truly icon. And I wasn't going to say this till after, but I actually found you because I over the years, I didn't tell you this when we first talked, accidentally stalked you.
Oh.
Like, because I know, by accident, because once I was getting into this work, you know the deal. It's like, oh, we must go to a burlesque show, and you were in every
Yes.
goddamn burlesque show.
No, I wasn't.
I was like,
oh my God.
I was like, oh, she's back. Here she is. Here, like, literally, I'm not kidding. Everywhere I went, and then no,
What?
truly, and then I had friends that were like, have you ever heard of this woman named? I was like, yes. So you were in my. I was like, what is happening? Like, what is? No, like, I'm not even kidding. Like, it was every time I'm like, she's back. Like, or she's back, or someone would be like, do you know this did you see this? Can I show you this YouTube video? I'm like, what is happening? Like, you have been in my peripheral literally for fucking years. And then truly, I was like, what is actually what's happening? And then I screamed even more because of this work that we're going to talk about burlesque too, but like the work that you're doing. And okay, let me get to that because people are like, well, guys, what are you guys talking about? So, like, what is happening?
Hi, everybody.
We just went into our own personal conversation, but here she is. Hello. And let me briefly, burlesque icon, truly icon's not even the right word, like fucking superstar. She's an intuitive mentor. It's true. Creative director, transformative and sensual coach. And this is where I'm actually freaking the fuck out. She is the founder of Healing Through Seduction.
Oof.
Who, truly, like that is, I want to talk about it for 45 days.
And I will let you.
Yeah. I'm like, everyone get your snacks, get your comfy cozies. We're about to go in. Yeah. Hi.
Hello. We are indeed the light. Hello.
It's true.
We are indeed the light. And I am excited to be here. Pow.
I'm so fucking excited and so grateful for you to be here. Like I said, like, I'm not even kidding. The universe kept truly putting you. I was like, I know, guys. I know. And you were such a huge part of my journey from afar.
Oh my goodness.
Like, how cool is that?
Whoa.
Right?
I'm gagged. I am gagged, and I am receiving a powerful message from my ancestors that's saying visibility is important for healing through seduction. The same way we opened up the doors to make you a burlesque icon, healing through seduction is also going to become iconic. You just have to trust us and keep focusing on being visible.
Oh, okay. Hi. I'm like, we're 4 minutes in and I'm crying.
Yeah.
Like, I can't handle it.
I'm like, oh, wow, this is a very powerful message right now that I'm receiving about faith, because, you know, I became a burlesque icon, everyone, to spite, not in spite of, to spite the norm. You know, I'm a dark-skinned Black girl from the ghetto. That was not what was happening. Everyone was peeling gloves, had their corsets on their beautiful, skinny white bodies. And I was like barefoot doing backflips and toe touches and saying rah on stage. And they were like, what the fuck is this? And no one was feeling it for a long time. And I just kept going for it. And because I was bringing my raw energy, my vulnerability, and making the performances rituals, which is how Healing Through Seduction started and how it continues, that's how I became an icon.
Okay, you answered 67 of my questions already.
Thank you all for coming. It's been a wonderful interview. Thank you.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you and good night, everybody.
I will also jump on your RuPaul. I am gagged. I am gagged because here's what I was going to say. Why I'm obsessed with you for 4,000 reasons. But one of the reasons is I have an interesting, and I'm sure you do too, and I want to hear about this. I have an interesting relationship to burlesque.
Yes.
Because I am like, yes, obsessed. And then I'm like, ooh, we got some crunchy bits.
Oh.
You know, right?
Yes.
Right? Like, I'm like, I want to be full in, but there's some crunchy bits. And what I love about you, and I don't see this often, is for me, sure, it's performative, but it is deeply truthful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, sure, like, we are entertained and we're with you and we're on a story, but I feel fucking truth. I feel you're in your body. It really does feel like a ritual instead of ba-da-ba-da, you know?
It's like, and I'm going to be sexy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, wink.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been teaching people, performers, stay-at-home moms, lawyers, whomever, spiritual advisors, to use burlesque to truly be sexy. And sexiness is the embodiment of you living in your truth, right? So I'm teaching the world through my performances and Healing Through Seduction not to be performative. I think maybe the only burlesque performer that says I don't have a persona. I do not. There's no switch happening. There's no, smoking mirrors. There's no, okay, I'm going to be Perle Noire tonight. No, I just am. I am Perle Noire, and this is who I've been my entire life. And burlesque showed me who I am.
Oh my God, I'm freaking out.
Me too.
I'm literally freaking out because I'm like, so much to unpack. So much, because I also wanted to talk about that too, because, okay, there's so much to unpack. We're going to get to all of it, but we're going to try to get to all of it. There might be a part 2 on this one.
We have to do a part 2.
Yeah, I'm like, hold on.
We have to do a series.
But, something that, and I think for some of my clients and just friends, I think what attracts us to the burlesque world is the persona. Mm-hmm. And what is so gorgeous about you is it's not fake. No. Like, it's your this is actually how you live, like that intention, that specificity. So I want you to talk about so many things, but can you talk about like a few things? Actually, let's start here. And I want to see how this lands for you. I know for me, when I first started doing this work, I was like, yes, give me more. And then it's easy to kind of dip and like fall off the bandwagon. Mm-hmm. How do you stay intentional?
I love it.
I know. About like creating a life you love that is filled with inspiration, turn on, like how do you, because it's easy to just be like, well, that was fun anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
It's work, but can you talk to us about the work and how you've kept that consistent?
I can. I'm so happy you asked me this. I, as a girl who used to sneak out of the house in the ghetto, gunshots flying everywhere, crackheads walking the streets, I would walk out of the house and go talk to the moon about who I am and talk to her about what I wanted to be when I grow up and how I was getting out of the hood and was never going to look back. And so I wake up every day fully grounded in gratitude because I only say yes to clients who feel aligned, to clients that my ancestors say yes to. I only say yes to the gigs that I know will be either fulfilling like my spirit or fulfilling my spirit and my financial dreams. I don't phone it in. I have a lot of beautiful friends that are performers, and I'm like, wow, well, why did you say yes to that gig if you weren't going to be excited? So I don't say yes to anything that hasn't inspired me. Therefore, my life is constant inspiration, and there's, you know, you have to make a conscious decision to do that. I definitely have had, you know, the ramen noodle months because I said, you know, no to certain things. And I made a decision to be a queen. And now I'm making a decision to start this revolution in the wellness field through seduction and burlesque, because, you know, a lot of people, I'm contacting people and saying, hey, I've got this program, and they're like, this is in wellness. And I'm like, just you wait, because Burlesque World told me I was in burlesque. And then Dita Von Teese picked me up, and everyone's like, oh, well, maybe we'll listen. So maybe when Oprah calls the wellness field, be like, oh, well, maybe we should change our mind. So it's if you are wanting that constant inspiration, be okay with saying no to things that don't feel aligned. Trust that you'll make the money. Trust that if for some reason you have $0 in the bank, that you can swallow your pride and ask a friend or a family member to let you move in for a few months while you focus on your dreams, which is one of the things that I did. I called my burlesque wife, Jen Minsky. I said, you know, I want to come move to New York. Can I stay with you on your couch for like 2 months while I save up? So, you know, you have to swallow some pride and swallow this idea that change means failure. Just because you're crawling doesn't mean you're not powerful, baby. You're powerful while you're crawling on your stomach. You still have the magic in you. And so also let go of the idea of what you think success looks like or what perfection looks like, which is something I constantly have to remind myself to do. And so that's I am so fulfilled. I am so happy all the time. And I know the world is constantly on fire. Things are constantly happening. And I think my childhood kind of prepared me on like, yes, there's gunshots outside. You're surrounded by crackheads, but also there's a beautiful moon outside that you can talk to. There's an opportunity to breathe. There's an opportunity to believe and change. And so I hope I'm answering the question, but that's how I'm living my life. And I encourage everyone listening to this to do the same as much as possible, you know?
Yeah. How funny. I'm laughing. It's not funny, but like, how funny is it that people say your work isn't wellness and that you are practicing the biggest fucking spiritual principles by surrender and trust?
Yeah.
Like, you are living, you know what I mean? I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? You know, like, you are living true principles of spirituality by trusting and surrendering and intentionally creating beauty and magic when you couldn't, you know, like, it's so funny that whatever, we can get that into another day of the bullshit of some of these industries, but how beautiful you are. Really, this is a spiritual living,
yes,
of the trust and the surrendering, and still fighting is an aggressive word, but I think you get what I'm saying, like fighting for your joy, fighting for your magic, extracting that even when the world says absolutely not, or you shouldn't do that.
Absolutely not. And burlesque is the foundation of that. So it became my modality. It you know, and again, I teach burlesque in a very transformative way. I always have. And so I teach people, performers or non-performers, that burlesque gives you an invitation to be yourself. And so even if it's a so-called persona, don't even look at it as that. We are all multifaceted. So this is a safe and sacred space that you created for yourself to play, to be open, to be honest. And that's where the spirituality comes from.
Oh my God, I'm freaking out because I'm just freaking out because you answered exactly why I love you. It's because the honesty. I'm a person that jumps in and out of S Factor. And I loved X Factor because, really briefly, because I want to get into you, so I don't want to get into my whole fucking spiel. But I'm like, who cares? But I came from musical theater performing, and I saw so disingenuous performances. And when I went to more of the S Factor, or we should say movement meditation, it was I was like, wait, what is this? And you've nailed it so beautifully, where you are really honestly, authentically expressing yourself. So how would you suggest people, or I guess if this is like exciting to people, right? And they're hearing us, they're like, holy shit, but I'm scared.
Yes.
How would you suggest like safety in starting to express yourself, starting to live this way? Like, what's the first few baby steps you would suggest?
So for them, like little tiny, tiny baby steps, I would say don't even think about walking on your feet. Start with a stomach scooch and a crawl. And what I mean by that is allowing yourself the freedom of not having any expectations, to truly be like a tree. Tree is grounded, she's rooted, she lets her leaves sway in the wind. And when it's time to shed, she doesn't feel ugly, she sheds. When it's time to bloom, she blooms. She doesn't feel like she's showing off. So starting with allowing yourself to be vulnerable with yourself, and that means not having these expectations. And then the next thing I would say is, if you don't have a community of people that will let you be yourself, then start spending more time with your imagination. So maybe set 5 minutes a day to be childlike, to learn how to let your guard down with yourself in a non-sexual environment. Unfortunately, for most adults, the only time that they are experiencing uninhibited joy, the only time they're letting themselves look crazy by moaning and screaming is when they're having sex. And a lot of time that's for 30 seconds.
Right.
So you are not fulfilled, okay? Not fulfilled. And when you masturbate, you're also doing it for 30 seconds. So no one's taking their time with themselves. So when you are wanting to start this life where you are not thinking about fear, also learn how to caress fear. Fear and doubt, they're not the enemies, and they don't necessarily need to go away. They represent change. They represent the unknown, but they also represent freedom. So learn how to start having conversations. I write poetry to my fear. And when I feel afraid, I acknowledge it. That's part of why I'm so successful in everything I do, is that I don't try to deny. So that's the key point too. Try not to deny that you're afraid. I hope that makes sense. That.
It does make sense. It sounds corny, but like, you're an artist of your own life. Like, you really are an artist of your own life. You model that so beautifully and so truthfully, you know, because like you said, and no shade to anyone, but a lot of these wellness teachers, a lot of even performers can put on a front, which is great. It gives inspiration. But then when the lights go off and we put the ghost light on, it fades. You know what I mean?
And meanwhile, I'm like, I'm scared. And so, but let's be scared together. Come to my workshop.
Yes.
I start all of my workshops and people are like, I'm nervous to be here. And I'm like, and I'm nervous to teach you, because I think of every workshop and every performance like an intimate act. So I don't know if these sexy moves are going to work on you. Shoot. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if you're going to be inspired or triggered, and my therapist has, she reminds me all the time, when you've been called to heal, you've been called to trigger. And that's sometimes very heavy to like think about. Like, you could say, sometimes I've triggered people just by saying kind things to them, because it's like, well, what's the catch when, they don't trust it. So yeah, I tell the full truth about my journey. And I will say, for my ideal client and student, they love that. But there are also even people who I love who have said to me, I just don't think that you're qualified to do the healing work that you're doing because you're going through this and you talk about it. And I'm like, if you're looking for someone who's burning sage, wearing white, and sitting still with their fingers in a pose, I'm not it.
Right. I mean, same. Same.
If you're looking for someone who's not going to acknowledge the full emotional journey of life, because I teach that you need to heal yourself through seduction, because seduction is kindness. Like, when we think about when people are seducing us, that's how they're getting us. They're getting us by, telling us what we feel we need to hear or what we haven't heard from someone else. It's poetry. It's AKA affirmations. They're affirming us, or we're falling in love with their trauma. because then we can be in the nurture role and we want to uplift them and fix them and show them that there's kindness in the world. And I'm saying, right. So if you can be kind to that person's trauma, why not be kind to your own? Why do you have to be a failure just because sometimes you still cry about your trauma? It was traumatic. That doesn't mean that you haven't evolved. That doesn't mean that you are not worthy. So that's why healing through seduction is very important.
We must get this. We must talk about this because this makes me shake in excitement.
Mm-hmm. Hey!
Like you as a performer makes me shake. And then I saw that you did this and I was like, I'm in outer space. Like I'm actually in outer space. Because you know why I'm obsessed is because, well, you know the world. We're in the world, which is fabulous, but of like turn on and pleasure and this. And it's like, God bless, I'm thrilled. Mm-hmm. But healing through seduction is such a fucking juicy ass bomb.
Thank you.
Bomb meaning full bomb, and also a bomb, BALM. You know,
Thank
like
you.
such
Thank
a
you
bomb.
For that. Come on.
Yes, such a bomb/balm. You know, like
this.
It is.
Thank
Can
you
like? It is so juicy. It just feels like like returning to home.
Yeah. Oh, I thank you for that. You know, first of all, I always like to start by letting people know I'm not only a client, I'm the president. Healing through seduction started with me, and I used the art of self-seduction to heal myself from internalized racism first. I'm growing up in the South, constantly being told I was ugly, definitely too dark, and coming into the burlesque world and being told that by a lot of performers and producers as well. It's like, well, you won't go too far because you don't have the right look. And so healing through seduction is truly a beautiful program. What I really prioritize more than anything is communal healing. And so healing through seduction is this community. It's a space where you can be quote unquote extra. We wear lingerie to all of the sessions. I encourage everyone to wear their red or black or plum lipstick. And then I usually walk everyone through a burlesque inspired ritual. And so that can consist of guided touch, that can consist of meditation, but we're moving, we're strip teasing through this. Let me show you a new way to put on lotion. How about we all record ourselves on our phone talking about a beautiful fantasy, that we have, and let's heal in this communal setting, because most of us, when something traumatic has happened, part of the trauma was not having a support system, right? Not being able to actually talk about things that went awry, or not having a space to talk about your joy. And so healing through seduction is my invitation for people to let me be their sensual Jiminy Cricket and for me to be a sort of their sensual growl. And what I mean by that is we all know that we're supposed to nurture our body with food and water every day. And when we don't, we feel that growl in our tummy saying it's time to eat. And so our spirituality and our emotional well-being and even our sensuality, we're supposed to nurture it like that as well. So joining a community like Healing Through Seduction helps you have that beautiful reminder.
It's so good. And you know why it's so good too is because, I mean, you know the deals. I'm sure you get pushed back all the time on this, is we think it's absurd, the pleasure aspect, right? Because we don't feel worthy and deserving.
Yes.
And then also it feels frivolous.
Yes.
Right? And so those I hear, at least for me, when people want to do this work, they're like, well, I'm okay. And I'm like, yikes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, what?
And what you're doing is it's so, oh my God, it's just so powerfully potent.
Thank you.
That it's taking really deep, it's funny because we're saying seduction, but underneath it is just such rich love and energetics. And sometimes we don't feel worthy of those energetics. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that word seduction, it scares people so much. It's like, oh no, I don't, I've had people say, I would do this, but I don't feature sex work here. And it's like, I'm talking about seducing ourselves. Do you know what seduction means? Do you know that's how you find yourself working 48 hours straight while your boss is at a party living it up? because he seduced you into believing that the company needs you to do it. So he love bombed you, or he threatened to take something away from you. So now there's a traumatic response going on.
Yes. Oh,
you know what
good.
I mean? So seduction is happening every day, except for us turning the tables and seducing ourselves. So again, the kind of seduction, or how I look at seduction, is like poetry. What is poetry? Your affirmations. What is intimacy? Maybe actually having a moment to have someone look at you. One of my favorite exercises to do is to have everyone just look at each other while we're in class. And this is the virtual. And I say to mute yourself. And we go one by one. And I ask everyone to speak. What do you see in that person? And even though we can't hear what the person is saying to us, we feel it. And we have a moment to be seen intimately. So now we are seduced by how someone else is looking at us. And we're seduced by our willingness to be swept away, to have an orgasmic experience. But the orgasms, we don't have to limit ourselves to one type of orgasm.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You know?
Yes, I do. I do. It's so good. So let me ask you, if someone's brand new.
Yeah.
How do you, this has been up for me really recently with the intentionality of this work. You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's not hard, but I'll say this, one of my teachers, and I remember being like, when I was in it, I was like, pish posh, and now I'm like, shit, she was right. But she was saying like, this work isn't complicated. We just don't remember it. Like it's something like, you know, like it's not that it's hard and it's, I mean, it can trigger the shit out of us, but like, it's not even that it's hard. It's just that we have to keep remembering. How the fuck do you keep remembering? And so 2 questions. How the fuck do you keep remembering? And part 2 is, if I'm brand new, how do I start to make this an intention in my life? Like, how do I prioritize this, right? Because someone yeah, that's the question. Because I think someone could listen to this podcast and be like, that's hot, like, love them, I feel the sparkle. You know, they may feel our radiance and like, woo, you know, like I got the sparkle, and then you go back tomorrow and you're like, okay. You know, yeah, like,
yes. So one of the ways that I kind of keep the sparkle and I keep reminding myself, one, for me personally, I've been called by my ancestors to do this work. I've been a priestess in many different lives. So this is one, the work that I'm called to do, but also in this human form, my childhood was really filled with constant pain. And early 20s as well. And there's just something in me that just refuses to live this mundane life where I am only celebrated as a woman and as a Black woman for how much pain I can endure, how much pain I can bear, you know, especially as a Black woman, the whole strong Black woman trope. So for me personally, I have made a commitment to honor my joy as a way to sort of uplift and acknowledge my ancestors. And so if you think about it like that, like I'm honoring the women 7 generations and back, you know, I'm honoring the trans people who could not speak. I'm honoring, you know, whatever it is, if you decide to honor your ancestors in any capacity. And again, your ancestors, when I'm saying that, I'm talking about the performers who went through the back door so that I can go through the front. And I'm talking about the ancestors that live inside of me 7 generations back and forth. So start there. Start by making a decision to honor something more powerful than yourself. And I always encourage people, like you said, when you're first starting, how can you keep track? Anytime you drink water, anytime you eat, say an affirmation in your mind. So nourish and nourish.
Ooh, the first one hit me good. The first one fucking hit, and the second one too, because I also was about to have a sip of water, and I'm like, "You're being
that's how it is." And like yes. Yeah, that's how it is. You know, I love this. I'm proud of you for this. Again, when you are having those few dates, you are being seduced by how another person is looking at you. You are being seduced by being validated by someone else. You are being seduced by holding space for someone else's trauma. And I'm saying, why not you too?
Yes. epic. The first one caught me off guard, like in the best way possible, because I was like, whoo, 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 because especially since we teach this, you know the deal. Like, you know the ramen nights where it's like, it's... The ramen nights, it is easy. And kick to the gods. You know it.
This podcast. I don't know if this is going to have to be one where they see us, I think.
I know. I was like, there should be a visual one.
This one's going to have to be a special visual one. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, this is too good to...
I don't know. But you were saying the ancestor, and I gave like this unconditional answer.
Wait, so good, because you know the fucking deal, especially that we teach this shit.
Yeah.
And which is great. Well, I feel like when we're transmitting, it's like yes, 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 and then you're in it, and you hop off, and you're a human, and you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
How am I gonna pay rent? Is this crazy? All of the shit that comes in. So the fact, regardless if someone's listening to this as a teacher of this work or just a human, it is a privilege. I think what you're getting at is a privilege to continue this work forward, whether we're teaching it or just living it.
Yes. Yeah. Because I understand, that especially in America, they're taking our rights and things like that. But what we have to remember is that in other parts of the world, this ain't nothing new. They've been struggling this whole time. When the pandemic started, the world is on fire. No, America is on fire. The rest of the world has been dealing with trauma every day. Right. Equivalent to not being able to leave your house with Zoom and all these ways that you can communicate and delivery service and all of that. This is not an actual quarantine, FYI. We have never been in an actual quarantine. But so it's like, for me, it's like, I always remind myself, one thing I do to really get myself to where I need to be too, this is, going to hit some people more than others. I look at my hands and my back and understand that I am free. They are soft. As a woman, my uniform is lingerie. I can walk out of my house and wear what I would like to, regardless of maybe what would happen, but I have the right to. And so I guess I try to always focus on the fact that hope is still free. They haven't taxed us for that yet. If we are constantly being bombarded with all of these terrible images, because the thing is, there's more light in the world, but light she doesn't know what she's doing with PR yet. She hasn't got the right kind of PR. So we're bombarded with darkness, but there's actually more light in the world. And so I've made a decision to prioritize that. Yes. Yeah. And prioritize the fact that I'm a free Black woman. And again, the Black part hits deep. And so some of your listeners will feel that more than others. But regardless of your gender, knowing that you are free. And I understand that some of our rights are being taken from us. However, not all of them have been taken away. Yeah. So while we still have what we have, let's get into it now. Let's do what we can do.
That is, wow. That's really powerful. Thank you for that. It's really, really powerful, because it's easy to forget. It's easy to be late. I know for me, I can be lazy about it and be like, And it's like, some people in the world will never fucking have the opportunity to have this conversation and to have people listen to it. They will never have the accessibility to do that.
Like their whole lives. They will die without this level of freedom. I can't disrespect my ancestors or myself, because I plan to be a beautiful ancestor one day, and I need to be able to guide my charges properly.
I'm just smiling because you are going to be so good.
I'm gonna be like, you can do it.
They're like, she's back.
Believe in yourself.
I personally personally would want you to haunt me. I'm like, please, like, haunt me, dance
like,
at me.
Shimmy my breasts on your head at night. Like, okay, here's a nice massage for your head. No worries.
I'm like, sorry, guys, Pearl is back. She's just, she wants to tell me some things. I love it. I love it. But that is so fucking powerful. And what I'm obsessed with is, first of all, the ancestor thing. Boom, mic drop, we're done. But what I love is the decision and the commitment. Like, the decision is so big. Because sometimes we don't, the fucking deal. Like, we just go on autopilot. And so I have to wake up and today I'm recording a podcast and I have a client. And, like, it's easy to go on autopilot. So the fact that you're like, I am waking up and I'm committing and I'm deciding. Deciding is such a big fucking word here. So I'm deciding. Ooh, that is powerful. Because sometimes we don't feel like we can, like we're just like, meh.
Yeah. And I guess I just want to constantly remind myself that I have a choice, again, obviously life happens. Obviously things are happening, right? So I'm not talking about battling mental illness. I'm not talking about your grandmother just died, but I, because sometimes people need to fight.
Yes.
And because people are obsessed with the need to fight, because you're fighting all the time, including with yourself, because you never had space. Even if you came from like a nice 2-family home, maybe there was pressure to be a certain way, like we're all dealing with something. And so all you know how to do is fight. And that's for me too, so I talk to my inner saboteur. I talk to fear. I wake up literally every day, like, and say, thank you. It's a beautiful choice.
It is. That is so beautiful, because I know a lot of us do go sleep, and a lot of us go to sleep for a lot of our lives, and we don't it's like another day. Let me wake up another day. And that's why this work, I know for me personally, I am sure of it for you, it rocks people's world. Because they stop, every Tuesday, I'm making something up, but every Tuesday they eat that turkey sandwich and they go to the bank and then they go, like, they're so used to the autopilot of this is what I do. So this work fucking rocks them to the core. And it's so wild. Recently I read this and I was like, shit, I never thought of this. But people were saying, an author was saying that pleasure is actually deep shadow work.
It is.
And I was like, shit. Yeah. Can you talk about, like, because I'm sure you hit people's resistances. I'm sure you know, like, of the worthiness. And can you talk to us about, like, getting into the shadow work of seduction and pleasure and play and turn on?
Yes, because the root of it, regardless of your gender, let's just say, like, our typical male lies that we've been told about men. Let's talk about the lies we've been told about women, right? Unfortunately, the conversation isn't centered on non-binary and trans people. So I can't speak to that, but I can speak to what I grew up hearing. So I also go into my race. So a Black man is supposed to have a big dick and he's supposed to fuck you hard and he's supposed to be all of these things that goes all the way back to slavery, when the white slave masters used to sodomize the Black men to make sure that they would submit, and so for a lot of Black men, their power lies in taking back their sexuality. A lot of it, the way Black men are taught to have sex comes from them taking power back on the women that they're intimate with, because whatever they do, no matter how much money they have, they will still face microaggressions and racism from their white counterparts and white people in the world. They can have a Benz and still get shot down in the street. So when they're having sex, it's not about connecting. It's only about taking power back. And for women, regardless of your race, you are taught that. It's so interesting because on one hand, it's like you're taught not to be sexually free, but you're also taught if you don't please your man sexually, he has the right to step out. And we all know that stepping out and cheating has nothing to do with what the sex feels like, because they still come home back to their partners and still have sex with them. It's about filling a void. So for a lot of people, sex is an audition to see if you are qualified for marriage. It is an audition to see if you are worthy enough to leave a legacy with children. It is an audition to showcase your manhood, to showcase your womanhood. It is not seen as a space to be soft, to be free, to be powerless with someone you trust. And so I think that's where the shadow work comes in, because with sex, you have to, but what part of this, of yourself, are you really willing to let someone see? And are you willing to admit that sometimes you're having sex not because you want to, not because you're horny or turned on, but because you are desperate for a feeling?
Yes. Yeah. Wow. That's why, this work is very confronting. And it's so funny, and it reminded you when I was thinking of this episode. I've done all these programs and these things, and I remember my friend that's very well trained in trauma.
Mm-hmm.
We were in a program that was a little problematic, and she pulled, okay, yeah, take a sip. And so she pulled me aside. Yeah, I'm like, you're gonna be sipping for a moment. Yeah, I'm like, but she pulled me aside and she said, this scares me because we're telling people, or we're telling people in this room, just put on lipstick and lingerie and your trauma will go away. And she's like, and we're not addressing the beast here. We're not rubbing up against what, all the things that you just talked about, or I don't feel worthy of pleasure. I feel like if I'm as outrageous as Pearl and Erica, I will be judged. My family will kick me out. There's so much deep. This work is not just put on a boa and shimmy. This is deeply confronting work.
Yes.
That bleeds into worthiness, self-love. I think so often people are like, oh, that's nice pleasure. Oh, that's nice seduction. But it's like, welcome. And you will confront, lots of, it's very confront in the most beautiful ways imaginable. Can you talk about how this journey has helped your relationship to self / your relationship to self-love?
Again, it all goes back to me for my body positivity. And so body positivity for most people is their curves. But for me, it was my color, something I can't do anything about. You can exercise, you can get surgery to change your body. But you cannot change being Black. You cannot change yourself to be a light-skinned, biracial Black woman, which is more acceptable to all races. And so it just came from like, right, but are you going to continue to hate yourself too? They hate you, but what are you going to do? Because they are not the cause of you crying at night. You could not think about what they're saying if you thought about what you're saying. So it all always comes right back to like that body positivity, liking each curve, each wrinkle, each belly, like belly bump when you're not pregnant, each cellulite dip. You have to have the willingness to be vulnerable with yourself. And so the vulnerability comes from you deciding to like yourself. That's like the best way I can say it in regards to how I approach it and what I, encourage other people to do.
I love that. And the seduction, why I'm like, seduction is very potent medicine. Because it forces you to slow down in a way. And not just be like, he, I love myself. You know what I mean? Like it's not that Instagrammable self-love. It's not like put it on the thing, self-love. It really forces you to hold space for yourself and to slow down. This is a weird question, but just because I know people love like tangible, this is very, LOL of me, but they love tangible action steps. How does one start to seduce themselves? Is it through listening to music? Is it, and we have to talk about movement because we have to talk about movement, but is it movement? Like if someone's like, there's something about this conversation that's attracting me. What is seducing 101?
What I would say, what I'm being called to say, because someone needs to hear it, your first action step to seducing yourself is to close the door of your bedroom if you live with other people, is to close the door in the bathroom if you live with other people, what have you. If you're in the bathroom, sit in the shower, let the water touch your skin, and cry with the water.
Yeah.
Crying is like, that's how you can seduce yourself. And you can retrain yourself from believing that crying is an indication that something's wrong. That doesn't always have to be the case. And so I'm inviting you to cry because I want you to allow yourself to be uninhibited with yourself. And that's the seduction.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. It's so funny because this work is just a deeper and deeper and deeper invitation to our truth and to really holding and seeing ourselves.
Yeah, because again, when we think about being seduced by someone, even if you're thinking about only being seduced sexually, you're wanting to have an invitation. You want someone else to know your body better than you do, which is a mistake. You want someone else to bring all of this desire out of you. You want someone else to make you scream and moan. And I'm saying, you do it.
Yes. Oh my God, wait, what did you say? Here it is. I wrote it down because I'm like, I have to, you said this so many times and I'm like, I'm obsessed with this. You said, I'm going to butcher it, but you said something effective like, you need to learn to seduce yourself so you aren't looking for other surrogates.
Yes, because
Holy
that's what
shit.
I had to, I told myself that in the mirror, looking at my dark skin that I hated. I was like, you have to learn to seduce yourself so you will stop relying on emotional surrogates to fill the void that your mother couldn't fill, to fill the void that your father couldn't fill, to fill the void of being the only unpopular cheerleader in the history of cheerleaderdom. I was a cheerleader and was still hated on and unpopular. That's not a thing. But they couldn't deny my talent. So that's how that happened. So it is so, because again, who are your emotional surrogates? Your boss that you're constantly trying to impress, your children who you won't even let them see you cry. So then they grow up to become adults who feel that there's something wrong and that they're weak if they cry. You are looking for a partner to make you feel worthy. And you will have a better relationship with your partners, your children, once you allow people to see you being a person, and once you let people see you be happy and fulfilled within your own right, within your own body, within your own emotional capacity, and your own story.
Yeah.
And again, it's hard, trust me, because there are things I have to constantly remind myself to do certain things, but there's no harm and you reminding yourself. It doesn't mean you're not winning at this game. It doesn't mean you aren't thriving or evolving. It just means you're a human being.
Mm-mm. You have a really powerful, well, we have to talk about movement because we have to talk about movement, but you also you are so committed to your mindset.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed by you that what I love and what I'm hearing is that you're not like, you don't take things so, how do I say this? You don't make these beliefs so heavy. You're really good at fucking of course we're human and it happens. Yeah. But you're good at transmuting them, being like, hey babe, get back up. You are good at flipping the script and having conversations with the inner saboteur. Like you let it come up. You're not being love and light bullshit. You know what I mean? Like you have it come up and you're like, okay girl, I see you. Let's sit, let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation.
I was like, girl, what you feeling today? Oh, yes. Okay, you didn't like that they said that in 1985. Okay, tell me about it. Girl, it did hurt. I remember I was there. It did hurt. Okay, but remember earlier today when your student said that you were like the most powerful and free Black woman she's ever met, and watching you honor your boundaries helped her honor her boundaries with her boyfriend in a way she never had before. Okay, let's replay that video. Let's go back to the Zoom recordings and let's watch that. Now, see how far we've come. This is how I really talk to myself. So talk to yourselves more, everybody.
Yeah, no, it is fucking power. I do this with my clients all the time. We talk to the self-saboteur. We have the voice of the inner anxiety. We're like, we don't have to hate them. We don't have to cast them away, but like, bring them in. We could talk. We could say, oh my God, I so see why you feel that end. And, you know, like having but you know the deal. It's like, we're not taught these emotional regulations. So it fucking bombards us. But what I love about you is you let it work through you. You have a relationship to it instead of being clobbered by them.
And I use it for my performances. I bring all of those people to the performance, and I bring all of those people to the class. That's why I can start a 6-week opening ceremony for my 6-week program by saying, I'm scared. And I love it. So, and you're scared. And let's be scared and see the power in that.
We have to talk. Oh, this is so fucking good, because I'm going to guess that you know how to move emotion through your body, because you're such you're so incredibly tapped in with movement.
Thank you.
What the fuck does that look like for you?
So it's even more powerful than it used to be, thanks to my teacher, Goddess Amina. So I took class with her. She has an erotic touch, conscious erotic touch certification program. She's wonderful. Look her up, everyone, Goddess Amina. She's wonderful. And so with working with her, I learned how to do body tapping and mapping. And so now I incorporate that. I kind of make sure I activate my body through body tapping, yoni mapping right before my sessions and performances. But another way to really make sure that you are just transmuting everything that you need to in your body is, one, again, allowing yourself to cry more. And I physically ask the sensual energy in the room to be with me. I physically ask ancestors to be with me. I physically ask spirit animals to be with me, and to use my body as a way to talk, as a way to guide me, and as a way to, like, you know, bring light into the world and to my clients and to my students. So I think it's like having that conversation.
Oh my God, that is so good. I'm obsessed with everything that you just said, but I'm freaking out that you said you asked the central energy to come in.
Yeah.
Because you know the deal. Sometimes it's like we feel like this feels crazy. I have to extract this from the sky. So the fact that you're like, hey, come in is so fucking potent.
Yeah, and I start all of my sessions that way.
Oh my gosh. Okay, freaking out. Freaking out. I'm upset. And because I have to ask you this. What I love, and again, it's so clear in your performances. It is so clear, like you said, that it's ritual.
Yes,
it's not do. Like it's yeah. I'm like, oh God, but it is. Every time I've seen you, it feels like I am being evoked into a ritual. It feels like a spiritual experience, and I have a feeling you are just bomb at, like, how do I say this? Sometimes rituals freak us out because they're like, it has to be this whole thing, and I have to go to, to a mountaintop and meditate. Like, we get scared.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna make a guess, and I could be so wrong. I feel like you're good at making rituals easy and like throughout your day, right? Like, I feel like you're a ritualistic person.
Absolutely. And also, that's one of the things we cover in Healing Through Seduction. It's like, the point is also for me to teach you all of these burlesque inspired rituals. Some of them will be long rituals, and some of them I'm like, here is this 5-minute version of what we did last night that you can do anytime you want. Here's the 60-second version of said ritual.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
I'm upset. Are you a type of person that is like led, obviously, through your intuition, because duh, but like, are you meaning like ritual, quote unquote, like morning ritual, evening ritual? Are you someone that stick to something strict, meaning I have to do something every day, or you wake up and you are led?
Wake up and led.
Love that. Love that. That's so amazing. But it's so cool because this is no shade to anyone, but you can, because you're so committed.
I think so.
Does that make sense? Because I think, like, sometimes I hear people are like, I want to be like that, but I can't because and again, no shade, no judgment, that they wobble a little bit on the commitment.
Yeah.
But you are so rooted in your commitment that it's like, I feel like you're like, it's going to come when it comes. You know what I mean?
It's going to come when it comes. And unfortunately, the sad truth is we have been taught to prioritize pain, anger, and not feeling good. Again, we spend most of our days, if you have a regular 9 to 5, you spend the majority of your time getting to work, working for someone else, then getting back home, hardly having any time for yourself. Every day you are bombarded with images of pain. Every day you are taught, if you do prioritize yourself, that is selfish, that is arrogant. You need to humble yourself. So part of the reason why it's easy for people not to prioritize their joy or their seduction is because they like this is just the harsh truth. You like your mundane energy. You like the mundane life. You like the pain because that is what you've been taught to prioritize. Again, I'll take it even back to masturbation. Most people masturbate for a second or two. You won't even prolong the intimacy with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Which again is why this is such shadow work. Mm-hmm. It's very confronting. Mm-hmm. You know, like it's very confronting. I'm going to make something up. It's easier to chug back that drink and rush through that turkey sandwich. What would it be like to put it's fucking sounds dumb, but what would it feel like to put your kombucha in a wine glass? Yeah. You know what I mean? And breathe and be with your body. What would that, and why I have to frame this because this has been so on my brain. I think I said this 60 times already, but I have period brain, so go with me. I am obsessed with what you're doing, and I love your message because it is very intentional.
Thank you.
And I think that this work is very intentional. Like I said in the beginning of the call, it's like, or the beginning of whatever we're doing, the podcast. I'm like, where are we? But you know, we get this work, we get this transmission, we get this awakening, and it's so fucking exciting.
Yes.
And then it's like, it's so easy to, like, just to, oh my gosh. But it takes work, it takes intentionality, it takes commitment. And I, again, love that you gave the ancestor response that, like, it takes us remembering to do this work. And I think, yeah, that's a really big takeaway for me. And I hope for the listeners that, like, we're going to forget sometimes. And that's okay.
It's okay.
That's okay.
We forget everything.
Oh, yeah. Please.
Like, that's just what we do.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And it's okay. You just come right back when you feel that growl.
Exactly.
You just hit it again.
Yeah. The coming back is so powerful. I'm so obsessed with you. I always say this, but like, I genuinely want to, like, literally dance with you and drink tea with you and cackle for days. Yes. Like, I'm like, like, I'm like, I want to do all the things. But before we wrap, I obviously want to do the very stereotypical, where can people find you? But before that, because hold on that bullshit. Before that, is there anything that you're like, Erica, hold on, like, I want to speak about, is there any last insight, wisdom, advice, or anything that you feel called to share before we do transition?
Moan more.
Ooh.
And I'm not even going to break it down because I want, I want it to be like art. Like, here's the art piece, and you decide what that means for you.
That's a potent one because we could use that a lot. Yep.
Moan. I
like that. I'm gonna take that. Challenge accepted for me personally too.
Moan.
I'm like, ooh, that's confronting, and I like it. Like, ooh. All right, now we got a sachet. We're not gonna sachet away yet. Yeah, we're gonna sachet into, how can people be obsessed with you? Yeah. How can they find you? How can they be in your world? Tell us all the juicy deets.
Oh my goodness. I'm not sure when this is coming out, but my next
week.
Oh, perfect. So yeah, my next Healing Through Seduction program, the registration opens June 7th. I'm really excited. It is a combination of a traditional course with also live rituals with me. And of course, I'll be bringing in some special guests. And I'm really excited for people to commit to themselves, for people to be excited about having a sensual Jiminy Cricket, for people to have a reason to put on some lingerie, to be extra in a safe space. We need a safe space to be quote unquote extra, which just means living out loud. And I'm really excited for this Healing Through Seduction program. I just finished my last 6-week program and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. People were crying at our closing ceremony. They did not want it to end. And I always offer aftercare as well. So even though we had our 6 weeks, it's over. I did a 2-week sabbatical. And last night we had a spa day where we all came, did our little face masks together and just did a check-in. So I'm really also truly building a beautiful community as well. So look out for that. And you can just hit me up at Instagram. That's the best place, I think, to kind of see my vibe. Because of course I have a website, but you can like see me talking and look at some of my testimonials and also look at some of my tips and exercises that I upload on the daily. And you can find me at The Perle Noire. So that's ThePerlenoire or blackburlesquequeen.com.
Yes. So good. Everyone, please. I give it up for. But please, you are so incredible.
Thank you.
I encourage everyone.
Too.
Thank you. I really encourage everyone that is in your world or in this part of this conversation that got to this part of the conversation to be in your world. You are phenomenal.
You.
And I obviously when I got on the phone with you the first time, I knew like obviously, but I'm again just so grateful, and I'm so happy for Erica, how many years ago that I get to have the privilege of speaking with you, collaborating with you. I really am honored and I'm blessed to know you. Seriously.
Ditto. I'm really gagged. Thank you so much for this beautiful opportunity. And I thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you. I'm obsessed with you. More to come.
I'm obsessed with you too. Thank you everyone for listening.
Yes. Thank you. Seriously. And we'll talk so soon.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Seriously, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode and on this podcast journey. And if you loved what we talked about today and you know another human who could definitely benefit from what was discussed, I would so appreciate if you would go ahead and share this podcast with them. Don't forget, hit subscribe or follow so you never ever miss an episode. And the great news is you can always follow me, my work, my blog, my podcast on my website at www.wethelight.org. And hey, remember, life is so much brighter when we shine. I'll see you next time.